This isn't hypothetical. Right now, nearly every major car manufacturer in the U.S. is staring down billions in new costs, thanks to a crushing 25% tariff on auto parts. General Motors alone, bracing for up to $5 billion loss this year. That's not just a corporate hit. It's a wrecking ball swinging through paychecks, factories, and car prices coast to coast. And guess what? The fallout lands in your driveway. Julia Vargas Jones, a CNN correspondent, talks about how new tariffs on auto parts could raise car prices by at least $4,000, upwards of $15,000.
Starting today, nearly all imported auto parts will come with a 25% tax. Now, that levy does not protect cars made in America. Not one of the 10 million cars to come out of the U.S. plants last year was built without at least some imported parts. And while Americans may not see price hikes right away, experts do estimate the tariffs could ultimately add about $4,000 to the cost of any vehicle. I want to go now to CNN's Julia Vargas Jones, who is joining us from the Port of Los Angeles. Julia, how soon do analysts expect that we might see the impact of these new tariffs, and what are you seeing there at the port where so much of these imported goods come into the United States?
Well, that depends, Jessica. You know, for those who are shopping for a brand new car, it might actually take a while for the trickle down of those tariffs to make it into the parts and into the full cost of a new car. Like you mentioned, $4,000 to $5,000. But there are estimates that new tariff could add like tens of millions of dollars to this new industry. And if people are shopping for parts for their car, if they need a repair, that's where a consumer might be able to feel.
But let's not stop at General Motors. The automotive supply chain is a web, a dense, interconnected network that spans borders. Over half the parts for vehicles assembled here in the U.S. come from places like Mexico and Canada. Now, complying with the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, requires that 85% of parts meet stringent domestic thresholds. Guess what? Most vehicles don't even come close to hitting that mark. This means those parts crisscrossing borders multiple times are now carrying hefty tariff penalties with every shipment. And then there's Tesla. You probably already know Elon Musk's company has mastered rallying political and economic leverage. Tesla's cars, like the Model 3 and Model Y, boast over 85% domestic parts compliance, effectively shielding them from the brunt of these tariffs. But ask yourself, how did Tesla get this edge? It's no secret that Elon Musk's close ties to the administration played a part here. Between lobbying efforts and, let's be honest, overt financial contributions to campaigns, this isn't just savvy business. It's politics at its peak. And yes, it's working for them. For now. Still, Tesla's unique standing doesn't shield it from broader criticism. There's a growing backlash against Musk's alignment with the administration. From consumer boycotts to protests, the question is how long Tesla can sustain this balance. This political strategy might be helping with tariffs today, but it's stirring up plenty of social and economic criticism along the way. The bigger picture here isn't just about winners and losers among these companies. It's about a fundamental shift in the automotive world, one where supply chains are thrown into chaos, giant manufacturers are squeezed, and the very idea of globalization in this industry is called into question. Let's shift gears literally and talk about how these tariffs hit you, the consumer. The price tag for cars is about to go up, and not by a little. Analysts are predicting cost increases anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 per vehicle. Imagine walking into a dealership to buy a Ford Explorer and finding out it's suddenly out of your budget because of a tariff-driven price surge. And let's clear up a common misconception while we're at it. No, cars like the Miata, which are barely domestically sourced, aren't immune. In fact, they might be among the hardest hit. But here's the thing. It's not just new car buyers who are feeling the squeeze. These tariffs are brushing up against the repair industry too. Whether it's a minor fix at your local shop or full-on maintenance, those imported parts now come with a hefty 25% tax. What does that mean for you? Higher repair bills. Say your brake system needs attention, or you're fixing a busted transmission. Those costs are going to sting in ways we've not experienced before. You know, It's not just a question of inconvenience, it's a creeping economic strain that'll be hard to escape for most Americans. And the domino effect doesn't stop there. Think about what happened in April. Consumers rushed to lock in pre-tariff prices, creating this frenzied buying spree. Dealerships suddenly looked like they were out of a post-apocalyptic movie, people grabbing what they could before the prices soared. It's funny in hindsight, but it speaks to a deeper sense of fear, does it not? People aren't just buying cars, they're trying to dodge an economic bullet. And here's the ironic twist. As tariffs make both new cars and repairs way more expensive, it forces a lot of folks to delay buying altogether. Some people might keep their old clunkers running just to avoid those sticker shocks, but long term, it's not a solution. It's more like a band-aid over a wound that keeps getting worse. When we talk about trade tariffs, these aren't just economic equations. They're political chess moves. The Trump administration's recent adjustments to the 25% auto parts tariff make that clear. On one hand, we see relief measures like softening certain levies and offering credits for domestic manufacturers using American-made parts. On the other hand, these strategies create a playing field where only a few players, like Tesla, really thrive. Here's the kicker. Tesla's compliance with the USMCA's 85% domestic sourcing threshold gives it a major edge. Other big names like Ford and General Motors, despite being homegrown brands, don't come close. This reshaped landscape creates winners and losers, not based solely on innovation or efficiency, but on how well companies navigate this complex grid of requirements and exemptions. And doesn't that raise ethical questions about fairness, about sustainability in a reshored manufacturing model? Economists like Jonathan Smoke and firms such as the Anderson Economic Group have pointed out the ripple effects, higher costs across the board, and a supply chain stretched to its limits. Sure, bringing jobs back to American soil is a populist rally call, but when imported parts make up over 50% of what's in a car, the timeline to truly reshore manufacturing stretches into years. And in the meantime, billions of dollars in additional costs passed on directly to you and me. What started as a protective measure could end up carving deeply into the wallets of everyday Americans. But let's talk about the politics entwined here. There's no overlooking how Elon Musk and Tesla's alignment with this administration cemented their exempt status under these rules. A fiscal benefit? Absolutely. But politically, it's a double-edged sword. Critics accuse this favoritism of undermining democratic principles, of fairness, of transparency. Consumers and competitors alike have voiced skepticism, even leading to protests and calls for boycotts. Can Tesla maintain this advantage without alienating its base or becoming a target of broader social outrage? Whether you see this as a calculated win or a glaring gap in equity, the social and economic ripples are undeniable. Workers, suppliers, and drivers alike are feeling the shocks of what's essentially a protective yet isolating trade maneuver. This isn't just about tariffs. It's a deeper reckoning with how we engage in a globalized world while trying to recenter domestically. So, as the dust settles, the real question is this: are we protecting or merely isolating ourselves? And that brings us to the end of today's deep dive on tariffs and their ripple effects across industries, communities, and individual lives. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each of you for tuning in, for lending your ears and your time to engage with these issues that deserve understanding and discussion. You are the reason conversations like this matter. If today's episode resonated with you or even sparked some new questions, please don't forget to share your thoughts. Join us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, and help keep the conversation alive. And hey, if you haven't already, sign up for our email newsletter. It's a perfect way to stay in the loop, get exclusive updates, and never miss an episode. And let me leave you with this. When we think about tariffs or policies or big global trends, they can feel abstract, right? But the truth is, these stories always touch real lives, real people. They challenge us to think, to act, and to care. And that's what we're here for, to shed light where shadows fall, and to remind you that every headline hides a deeper story. So as we close today, I encourage you, stay curious, stay critical, and most importantly, stay real. Because in a world full of noise, truth and understanding are what ground us. Thanks again for being part of the Real 411. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, take care and remember, the story is never just the headline.